Hi, thanks for joining us and welcome once again to another episode of The Catholic View for Women. News and views for women from a truly Catholic perspective. I'm one of your co-hosts, Teresa Tomeo, along with Astrid Bennett Gutierrez and Janet Marana. And ladies, I do not know where to begin with this topic.
Absolutely.
We are going to be talking about the birth control pill, and so we're calling this episode of our program A Hard Pill to Swallow. And it is for so many reasons. Why don't we start with what happened not too long ago with the whole situation with Planned Parenthood and Susan G. Komen. It was nothing short of a mafia-style shakedown.
It really was.
That Planned Parenthood did with Susan G. Komen. Not that we're fans of Komen, because they still do not announce or make known to the public the connection between the pill and breast cancer, and also the abortion breast cancer link, even though they're supposed to be the largest research organization in terms of helping fight breast cancer. So the whole thing is just ridiculous. But that aside, this revealed so much
finally,
about
Teresa,
Planned Parenthood, didn't it?
We finally got to, pro-life movement for over a decade has been trying to educate the public about the race for the cure and Komen and the link to Planned Parenthood, and it was all this deny, 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 deny. So if nothing else, this whole thing brought that out in the open, so we don't no longer have to fight that fight. But we do have to put the pressure on Komen, what we're saying is that they refuse to show the connection between abortion and breast cancer. Now, if your main thing
the pill and
the pill and breast cancer, and if your main thing is that you're out there to rid women of breast cancer altogether, this and that, then why the heck, with all the other risk factors they list on their website, why won't they put this also? Why not?
There's too much money involved, ladies, and there's a political power that Planned Parenthood has right now with this administration. So right now, what we have to do as a movement, as a church, is unleash the truth about what the pill does, what abortion does. And I think we have so many testimonies, ladies, about women, couples that are coming out and saying, my abortion hurt me. And I have a friend who had an abortion. She was raped, and her mother forced her to have an abortion. She regrets it to this day, 20 years later. She got breast cancer, and she says, I know that it was linked to that abortion that I had. So these voices have to be heard, and I know that people more and more, if we really speak out, hopefully we'll at least recognize it, but I don't think it's going to come from these organizations that have too much money and power at stake.
But here's the thing: what we're dealing with now in our culture, and especially in this past year, what has happened with the whole contraception issue versus religious liberty issue, and the whole push from the mandate, which we have EWTN, the first to file a lawsuit along with Priests for Life regarding the mandate. It is utterly ridiculous to me, and this is coming from my background as a news person. I'm ashamed to say that I was in that industry for as long as I was, because what they're doing with this story all year long has been nothing short of a sham.
That's right.
And especially with the birth control pill. On a number of fronts, the educational aspect and the health risks are not getting out there, but the whole idea that all women are being represented as accepting this as just standard operating procedure, and that birth control is nothing different than going to the store and getting your shampoo or your deodorant. It's ridiculous.
It sound too that if they don't mandate that you get the birth control pills, that the women aren't going to have access to it. Well, what the heck has Planned Parenthood been claiming all along? That they're giving out the pills for free and they're getting all this government money anyway.
Where's the money going if they're not paying for this? So it's basically just they're trying to impose their ideology on the people.
You know that saying, we were talking about this in the green room, we're on the different abortion protests and the March for Life. We hear this all the time when your ladies and men show up for Silent No More, and then you have the 5 pro-aborts that show up and get all the media coverage, and they have their signs that say,
keep my
get rosaries off your ovaries. You know what I say to that? Keep your ideology off my Catholic orthodoxy. That's what I say.
That's right.
They have no right to impose their religious or their thought of what religion is on us as Catholics and Catholic women. We have a right to our beliefs, and we shouldn't be forced to have to accept this. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a new auxiliary bishop in the Archdiocese of Detroit, and he speaks at a lot of pro-life events, wonderful young bishop. And he said, the next thing up is if this goes through, if this is allowed to stick, is that they are going to be forcing us to pay for abortions next, or at least try to.
That's going to be the next thing.
But this whole idea that we're talking about the pill, a hard pill to swallow, it is a hard pill to swallow.
It is.
For so many reasons. And you have done, well, your testimony, my testimony, because we both used the pill for many years.
We both, for many years, used the pill. We went down the wrong road. And first of all, you have all kinds of health problems. I mean, I have a history of strokes and problems with arteries and veins and everything. And I actually began to develop problems and had to go off the pill. But you know something? I was researching a little bit more on this topic, and I went on websites from the drug companies and these chat rooms where the women are just talking about their problems with the pill. And I'd just like to quote one. This is from Michelle, and her screen name is Michelle_5112. And Michelle writes, I'm 21 and just started Lewestrin last Sunday. Today, I had such a bad breakdown, but I didn't want to stop taking the pill. I'd rather cry over the woes over the world in my shower than risk having a child I can't support. Stop having sex? You try it. The only thing that scares me is that I have a family history with bad reaction to birth control. My grand aunt had held a gun to her head at one point. Luckily, there were no guns in my house. However, during my teen years, I had attempted suicide. So I suppose it would be wise to cease taking it. Now, this is from the drug company's website, you know, where they chat in these rooms about the thing. I mean, obviously, she's having severe emotional problems. She has a family history of people who have emotional problems, and that the pill is then triggering.
But it's been so ingrained in our culture that this sexual activity is something that she can't see herself
and see what she says.
Of it.
Stop having sex. You try it.
So no self-control.
No self-control. Why does she think that her only way to satisfaction and happiness right now is she has to have continual partners and have sex?
So much for freedom, right?
So much
and
for freedom.
For women, it's basically she's being enslaved. And you know, ladies, I am a counselor at a pregnancy center, and we see women every day. And in my opinion, not my opinion, it's the reality. More babies die from contraceptive devices than anything else. And I meet women that are taking the pill or Depo or one of these hormonal contraceptives, and they're crying in my counseling room saying that their marriage is failing, they feel terrible, they're depressed. And when I tell them that the pill and the IUD and the Depo can cause an early abortion, it's devastating for them. Why are we not sharing with our women that there is a natural alternative that is effective?
This is a huge betrayal of women, and this is what breaks our hearts. And this is not to condemn people, because we went down that path. We didn't know. But in this day and age, with the information that's available to us, and thanks be to God, we can talk about this on this show and on my radio program and with Priests for Life and other ministries like yours. But we still have limited access. But we really have to encourage women. That's why we have our homework section on our website. We really have to encourage women that you can't be ignorant about this anymore. For your own sake, for your marriage, for society. This is a huge fallout. When we take, and it always goes back to contraception. Dr. Janet Smith talks about this all the time. It always goes back to Humana Vitae. This is what the church was trying to tell us.
And you know what I tell women too is use your circle of influence to talk about the information we're talking about, the pill now, in where you go. So for example, I always have my beauty parlor story. When I go to the beauty parlor,
Parlor.
Paula.
On the East Coast, that means hair salon. For the rest of you in the country, I'm originally from Jersey, so I'm just saying. Okay.
Just saying.
I'm your translator.
Anyway, when I come in, they always know that I'm the pro-life chick and all that. So when all this controversy started with Komen, the first thing they wanted to know was, what's the big deal with the pill? I said, it's a good thing I'm here for a while for my hair appointment. Let me go. And so I went into all this information. Suddenly, the blow dryers were lowering down, and people stopped, and they were all listening. And people who normally will not engage in the conversation with me were going,
well, yeah,
really?
Because they're all taking it.
Yeah. And they're going, really? I didn't know that. I said, first of all, ladies, did you ever take out the white little package that comes in the pills and read from the manufacturer themselves all the health risks?
All the health risks.
And they go, no. I said, they were going, oh my gosh, I better go home and check that out. I said, yes. And then when I told them that the World Health Organization listed this as a group 1 carcinogen. Now, I said, this is not a pro-life group. This is not pro-life ideology.
No, it's an arm of the UN and the
United Nations.
Institute.
They said, you're kidding. I said, yeah, so you're choking down something that could be causing you cancer. Would you want to do that? And they went, So I think I caused a big stir that day in the beauty parlor.
And Catholics, too, have to know that it is a mortal sin. I mean,
that's right.
So the ravages on our own soul and our marriage, a lot of Catholics don't know and are contracepting and have no idea. And I present to Hispanic groups, and so many women come up to me crying, thinking there was no alternative. And for them, NFP is a novelty, and I'm telling them, no, it's something you can do, it is effective, and so they are just so relieved to know.
But they're frustrated because you're the only one who's told them about this, and they're being told by the medical community, which is probably why, even though you should, probably why they're not reading what the actual packaging says, because they're doctors and the nurses or the medical community is telling them it's perfectly safe.
Right.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Janet is going to have a fascinating interview with Dr. Angela LaFranchi. She is with the Breast Cancer Prevention Institute. She works closely with Priests for Life. She is extremely well known in the pro-life community for her work in breast cancer research and really helping women understand what the problems are with, for example, abortion and the pill. We'll have an in-depth interview with her, and then we'll have some more information for you. I highly encourage you to please, after every episode, as we suggest, to go to our website, CatholicViewForWomen.com. We'll have documents there, and especially this show. use this as an opportunity to educate yourself, to open up your heart to what the church teaches, and to listen to what we have to say about this. We come from at this perspective, I think, from a very unique angle in terms of our own life experience. We'll be right back on another edition of The Catholic View. I'm Teresa Tomeo, along with Astrid Bennett Gutierrez and Janet Marana. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of The Catholic View for Women. Teresa Tomeo here, along with Astrid Bennett Gutierrez and Janet Marana, talking about the birth control pill, certainly a hard pill to swallow. Now, Janet, you have some more quotes for us that you want to share.
Yeah, well, this is, I thought, a really good one. It says, how is the pill bad for women's physical health? Let me count the ways. Oral contraceptives are indisputably linked to increased risks of cardiovascular disease, cervical and liver cancer, blood clots, elevated blood pressure, decreased desire and sexual dysfunction, and also stroke. The medulla of the health risk question, though, is how the pill impacts a woman's breast cancer risk. And here's where the debate rages. There is agreement that the risk of breast cancer is greater in women who have an increased exposure to the hormone estrogen. And there you go. Well, now, to kind of add to our discussion, I figured let's get a medical doctor.
Right, absolutely.
A wonderful doctor. Her name is Dr. Angela Lanfranchi. She's a practicing breast surgeon in New Jersey, and she's been practicing for over 25 years as a surgeon. And she extensively writes, makes papers, researches, and comments about the risk between the pill especially and breast cancer. So let's take a look. Recently I had a chance to chat with her. Let's take a look at that interview.
The regular pill is a combined estrogen progestin drug. It has estrogen in it, and it's a synthetic estrogen, most likely ethinyl estradiol. It's a very potent estrogen, and it's made to last in your body, so the only way your body can get rid of it is to have it's excreted in the urine. And the progestin is a synthetic progesterone, and most of the time it'll be something like levonorgestrel. But there are now being used other progestins that have other properties to them that make it much more likely for a woman's blood to clot. And those are the ones that you see on television. You know, did you take Yaz or Yasmin and contact this lawyer? Because so many women were dying of the effects of clotting using those drugs. So the pill is the combined pill. It's an estrogen and progestin combination drug. The pill can cause cancer. The pill is given as an estrogen-progestin combination drug. So normally, your body is only exposed to those two hormones for the 2 weeks that follow ovulation. And it's during that time that your breast cells proliferate. They multiply through division. So when a cell multiplies, it has to copy all of the DNA to make 2 cells. So one cell copies the DNA, so there's 2 complete sets of DNA, and then the cell splits into 2. Every time you copy DNA, you can make a mistake. It's like copying a long book. So if you write a sentence and you leave out the word the or a, it's a minor mutation. But if you leave out the word no from a sentence, that sentence no longer will give you the correct sense of what that sentence meant. And that's a critical mutation. So if you build up the number of mutations or get a critical mutation in this DNA, it can form a cancer cell. And for an average breast cancer cell that then goes on to grow by doubling, you go from 1 cell to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, to get to the size of 1 centimeter takes about 8 to 10 years. So it there's a lag time between the time that the pill will cause a cancer until the time you find it. That's why if you hear on the radio, well, the pill may increase your risk of cancer, but those effects go away in 10 years. It's as if you never took the pill at all. Well, that's only because you were lucky and the cancer cell didn't form, and if it's not detectable by 10 years, it's probably not going to happen. So the pill has been found to be a carcinogen for not only breast, but cervical and liver cancer. Another thing the pill does is it makes it much more likely for your blood to clot. So if your blood clots in a heart artery, that gives you a heart attack or a myocardial infarction, an MI. If it clots in an artery in your brain, it can give you a stroke or a CVA, a cerebral vascular accident. And it's not uncommon to cause clots in the legs, which is a deep venous thrombosis. And what's dangerous about that is those clots can break off and go to your lung. And if it's a big enough clot, you can't oxygenate your blood. The problem is those clots can go to the lung. And if it's a big enough clot that blocks enough of the blood going to your lung, you can die. And those are called pulmonary emboli. So that was one of the main problems with the patch. The patch was like a birth control pill in terms of the drugs it gave you, but it gave you the hormones directly through your skin. And as a result of that, the estrogen levels were about 60% higher than if you had taken them by mouth. And that caused a lot of clotting. So you would read about 18-year-olds who fell over dead on the subway platform, and they had had a stroke or they had had a large pulmonary emboli.
You know, we're so grateful for Dr. Lanfranchi and all her years of dedication in trying to assist women in true women's health. And you know, at the Breast Cancer Prevention Institute, they have this marvelous brochure. I love the title, Teresa. It's "If It's Not Okay for Him to Take Steroids, Why is it okay for her?" And if they, you know, this little brochure, I highly recommend everyone to obtain it from her ministry, because this explains some of the points she was getting at in full detail, and it will really empower you to have those conversations with the women you know. And for example, she highlights just on the inside cover, it says, "The dangerous performance-enhancing steroids taken by athletes are male steroid hormonal drugs that build muscle. One of their risks is liver cancer. Similarly, female steroid hormonal drugs build breast tissue. They not only increase the risk of liver cancer, but breast and cervical cancers as well. These powerful steroid drugs are taken by millions of teenage girls as birth control pills." Now look, simple brochure. This should get in the hand of every woman who is taking the pill to wake them up.
And I also flip through these women's magazines to see what's being told, the lies that are being told to women every day. And I noticed that the birth control pill and now the IUD and all these things that are being promoted, there used to be, you know, you turn the page and there was one page filled with all these health risks. Now, you look at the ad, there are 2 pages filled with all these health risks, liver cancer. I'm thinking, how in the world would a woman want to take this? And I read your book in the second chapter on contraception of your new book, Extreme Makeover, and you say that basically, you know, yeah, I'm looking for a pill that's going to make me depressed, give me a higher risk of cancer.
Make me gain weight.
Exactly, and whatever we do in this country, ladies, is going to go to other countries. And we know the birth control pill started here, and it was experimented on, curiously enough, in Puerto Rico. Women died over there. And I also recently talked to a Mexican woman who told me that in Mexico, in the major hospitals, the public hospitals, after a woman has her second child, she automatically has an IUD inserted. She's not even asked. So basically, all this promotion of contraception, birth control, all this is being spread throughout the world, and we know Planned Parenthood is very much behind this. So we have to constantly expose these lies and bring them to the light.
Well, and speaking of IUD, you know, I just had an experience with Dr. Lanfranchi. A friend of mine called me and said she's
you were at my house.
I was at your house preparing for the series.
Yeah.
And of course, get up on a Sunday morning, check your email, and there's an urgent message saying, "Please help me. I just went to my gynecologist. I'm having very heavy periods. It's really affecting me even getting to work in the morning. And the doctor wants to give me this new Mirena IUD. Is this okay?" And of course, according to the Catholic Church, no, it's not okay because it's an abortifacient. But I said, okay, let's take this from the medical point of view. I go in their website, and first of all, this girl isn't married yet, never had a child, and it says clearly, number one, the Mirena should only be given to women who've already given birth to a child. So right away, this doctor is going, the manufacturer's reason number one is unless you've had a child, you shouldn't
get the
Mirena.
doctors recommend it very highly to her?
Yes, he said, oh, this will take care of all your problems. It'll be great,
so
no
reckless.
problems. And she's getting married soon, and she said, oh, and we'll lighten up your period, and we can even maybe adjust things so that you won't even get your period for your wedding. I said, come on, this is ridiculous. Anyway, so I go on to read, and all the health risks that you have with the pill and the packaging are there on the Mirena website. Why? It's not just an IUD. It has the hormone estrogen in the device that's being implanted. So now, instead of just taking the pill, now you have this hormone in your uterus for months and months and months and months and months. So I called Dr. Lanfran. She said, what have you heard about this? And she went through the whole risks, just like the pill. She said, Janet, perforated, it has all the risks of the prior IUD, which you know were perforated uteruses, so women would end up sterile. And back in the 80s, that was the rage. Women were getting IUDs like crazy here in the United States, and then eventually was taken off the market. So now, see, they've kind of improved the IUD supposedly, and now they add the high dose hormones right into the IUD. Terrible. And so now this woman, of course, is not going to use the Mirena, thanks be to God, because she reached out to us.
Thank God.
And we got her the good information. But, I mean, the church obviously has it right all along, because the church was always against the IUDs because they're abortifacients and the pill. But now we're showing that science is also on our side, too.
It's so frightening to me, though, that, as you said, Astrid, women are just being told this. And in many cases now we're seeing in Mexico that they're actually being forced into this without their knowledge. And this is freedom. No. And this push for it goes back to birth control and also population control on the part, Margaret Sanger's an old approach. So it's really, really important for us to get this information out there. Now we only have about 4 minutes left. I know you need a couple of minutes for the homework assignment,
That's
but
right.
I guess I just want to impart on women to really take a look at what the church has to say about these things. And go to our website, thecatholicviewforwomen.com. And we're going to have another link yet again, because we keep going back to it because it's so important, Humanae Vitae. Read what Pope Paul VI had to say about what would happen to women. And these issues have all been addressed by the church. There is a reason the church teaches what she teaches on this issue. It's not the church is trying to squash our fun. It's that the church is trying to protect your dignity, my dignity, the dignity of every single human person. Janet, let me speak.
Really
sure, go ahead.
quick, please explore natural family planning, which it's being more and more now touted, even in the secular world, because it is hormone free and people don't want these chemicals, they don't want these health risks. Natural family planning, according to the studies, is as effective as the hormonal pill. So
that's right, you have a quote. Can you read that real quick?
Sure. For a contraceptive method to be rated as highly efficient as the hormonal pill, there should be less than 1 pregnancy per 100 women per year when the method is used correctly. The pregnancy rate for women who use the symptothermal method, NFP, correctly in our study was 0.4%, which can be interpreted as 1 pregnancy occurring per 250 women per year. Therefore, we maintain that the effectiveness of STM, symptothermal method, NFP, is comparable to the effectiveness of modern contraceptive methods such as oral contraceptives, and is an effective and acceptable method of family planning. The church accepts this method, recommends it, and also it is good for your marriage. Less than 1% of couples who use natural family planning
divorce.
No, exactly.
Who doesn't want to prevent divorce in their marriage?
Okay, and now for our homework assignment. We'll start with Teresa's book.
We're going to load you up.
Extreme Makeover, Chapter 4, about free sex and the contraception deception. We spoke about Humanae Vitae study guide. Well, Priests for Life has the document available with a study guide for it, and that's available at priestsforlife.org/store. And finally, we spoke about our grief about contracepting. Dr. Teresa Burke has my testimony in here and others who went down the road of contraception and the grief when we became aware that it was abortifacient. So these are great resources. They'll be in your homework assignment. I highly recommend to use them, but get them out to your circle of influence and discuss this among your women. We'll have discussion questions on our website. So really, you're going to watch this show, watch it again, have women over, and really delve into this topic so we can change hearts and minds.
And also read the documents from the church. I stress that until I'm blue in the face on my radio show, and we do here too, because we need to go back to these basic teachings of the church because they were lost for so many years. So the church really has always had our best interest in mind, especially for the sake of our souls and the sake of our families. Great information, ladies. I wish we had more time. So much material to cover, but we'll be doing much more, I'm sure. on our shows in the future. Thank you for tuning in to The Catholic View for Women. Teresa Tomeo, Astra Bennett Gutierrez, and Janet Marana. Keep liking us on Facebook and spread the word. And again, our website is thecatholicviewforwomen.com. Stay close to Jesus and the church and never, ever, ever lose heart. Thanks so much for watching.